Hello, welcome to another episode of Tabooma Talks. Last week, we saw a handful of convincing victories of over 10 points. Our one nail-biter, of course, between myself and Kyle, ended in style when Tyreek Hill took a punt 82 yards to the house, propelling Kyle to a 2-point victory. In a still developing story, Casey has made a fantasy sacrifice, trading away the struggling Amari Cooper for the non-existent Eddie Lacy, and then turning around and dropping Eddie Lacy for none other than Tim Tebow. While it's easy to write this off as 0-5 insanity, I'm sure Casey would argue otherwise. Or maybe he wouldn't. He is 0-5 and said this was a fantasy sacrifice, so I don't know truly. That's really all I got for you there, guys, so we're going to get right down to the pick'ems. First matchup of the week, go back here, between the McAfrican Americans and the Revolution. Now, clearly I'm filming this a lot later than I normally would, as we've already played the Thursday game. And before the Thursday game, I picked Christian. Looking at the scoreboard, it doesn't look so hot for him now. Kyle has had a pretty good performance across the board. 18 isn't great from a quarterback, but all things considered, 53 out of 5 is pretty good. 12 out of 1 player is nothing to scoff at from Christian. I think Christian pulls this one out. I like his team just in general. They're pretty stacked. Simeon's a nice play this week. But looking at it, Kyle does have a pretty good chance after the Thursday play. On to our next matchup. Little Platonic Rapist, yours truly, versus a team that has no name, nameless. I mean, the fantasy sacrifice has me a little worried, honestly, because that's the type of thing that'll turn your season around, I think. You know, it can really have an impact. But considering the Steelers shouldn't be letting Big Ben throw the ball more than 5 to 10 times, if that, a game after what happened last week, I think Le'Veon Bell has a pretty big performance and hopefully carries me to a W. In our third matchup of the week, we have tight ends Turn Me On versus Mouse Rat. Now, really, when I look at these two teams, it's heavily favoring Justin, honestly. I don't like that much about Marcus's team. I think Amari Cooper could eventually get it going, of course, but outside of that, Jordy Nelson is pretty much his only scoring guy every week. Derek Carr literally is coming off of a broken back, so I'm going to give the edge to Justin here, coming off the back of Deshaun Watson and probably Leonard Fournette. Those are probably his two biggest performers this week. In our fourth matchup of Week 6, we have The Gathering Gloom versus Papa Guinness. Really here I'm looking at the quarterback matchup, Tom versus Jameis Winston, and against Arizona and against the Jets it's kind of day and night. And Gary has Tom's receivers as well. So I'm going to have to lean towards Gary on this one, even though I think Papa has a decent week. And our final matchup of the week, the game of the week, yet another father-son matchup between Michael Bronson and Dave Bronson, Threat Level Midnight, and Serial Decleters. So far, nothing crazy has happened. Michael had a nice Zach Ertz performance. Really, I really like Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins. I like his receiving corps. I don't think Alex Smith has that great of a game against Pittsburgh because I think Pittsburgh has a somewhat nice defense that is being slept on, but I think he still maybe throws 1 or 2 touchdowns, and I think it's enough to get Michael the win here. And that's really all I have for you guys. That's my pick'ems. That's all the content I had. Nothing crazy on today's show. I hope you guys, if you didn't already notice, I introduced the ticketer right here. It just has the standings, and I'll just update that week to week, and that'll just be on every show from now on. And I also put the title for the intro and outro. So I hope you guys like those little touches. I'll try to think of more ideas and more cool things to make the show better as the year goes on. So let's have a good Sunday tomorrow, and I'll see you guys next week.